Beast mode, we got a 10-minute rapid game, and we go e4, we get hit with e5, and we're playing the Vienna, right? Our opponent jumps out with knight f6, and our standard Vienna move on f4. Then they play the move d6, and luckily I know my theory here. We develop our knight to f3. They choose this line where they bring their bishop out. This is called the falkbeer of the Vienna Gambit. And in this position, it's not one of the best engine moves, but I like this play right here, just striking back right in the center with d4. And my opponent takes, which is a mistake. They should take on f3 first with the bishop, but nevertheless, they take in the center, so we take with our queen, and then they go take our bishop. And the thought process is from my opponent that they're going to damage my pawn structure, like so. But at the end of the day, like, I got a nice big center here. I'm going to get my rook over to this open G file eventually, and probably castle queenside. So even though this looks kind of ugly with these three pawns here, it's actually pretty good, and that's why I chose this line. And my opponent goes knight to c6. I develop my bishop, pinning it, right? He was attacking my queen, so I pin him, and they develop their queen. All right, so now I have to acknowledge this knight here, right? Because he could take, I would take back, and then, yeah, can't do that. So I trade the bishop for the knight, recaptured with the queen so they don't damage their pawn structure. And we just develop our bishop to an active square right in the center. They go bishop e7, which is inaccurate for some reason. It says the best move for them is queen to a6, which, I don't know, that doesn't seem like a natural move to me. But they just play a normal developing move, and then we castle. And the engine really likes this position for white here. You know, like I said earlier, we got potential rook going on this open file. Nice big center, controlling a lot of squares. Most of our, or all of our pieces developed. My opponent decides castle. Like I said, we finally go to that open file. And my opponent misses this move that I have cooking up. Right here, it's the knight jump in the center. Right? They choose to ignore it. Right, because I'm attacking this bishop here, no defender. They chose to get out of the way, and now mate is on the board. And I remember studying this. I remember this line where basically take, and then because the rook's on the open file, they can't take back because it's pinned, and it's mate in 3. There's nothing black can do to stop it. But for some reason, I get a little sped up. The moment gets a little too big. So I play the move e5, and I miss it completely. Right after I played the move, I was like, oh, shoot. Like, how could I miss that? Like, I remembered it. I've seen it before. But it's all right, though. That's the thing about chess, is you just got to keep tugging it out. You made a bad move, so what? Let's move on. The game's still going on. Like, it's a perfectly winnable game. So we get all these trades in the center. And they finally, or not finally, but they push to g6, getting a getaway square for their king, and stopping me from playing bishop h6. So again, I blunder another pawn. So at this point, I'm still a little upset about me missing mate. But it's all right. I decided to get my rook onto the 7th rank, and then I defend my pawn here in the center. Now at this point, I am losing. I went from having mate on the board to losing. But like I said earlier, none of that matters at this point. We still got a game to play. offers a rook trade. I take it because I have nowhere else to go. Like, I can't go anywhere else on this file. I can't go on the 7th rank anymore, so I just say screw it and trade. Attack the bishop, draws back. And now I find a neat little move. F5, can't take because of pin, and I'm thinking I'm gonna just shove my pawn here and get some pawns going, flying up the board. He attacks my e pawn, and then I attack his bishop, and he finds this good move here, taking the pawn. Right, and if I take, he's just going to take the pawn back. So I counter with this move, which I thought was a decent find. Bishop to e4 or d4, excuse me. And again, if he takes, I'll take the rook. If he moves the rook, I'm defending this pawn here, and the pawn's still attacking. And then he blunders, right? So this is why you play on with the games. You don't give up. You move on from your mistakes, which you know you're going to make them. The reason this is a blunder because I attack the rook, and now 2 pieces are hanging. And I think my opponent thought that this check was going to work, but again, it's a blunder because I could just block with my pawn. And again, the same 2 pieces are hanging. So he drops a bishop, and now I'm going in for the kill. I'm going to eat up some pawns here, run my king over, and basically running my king, very important I run my king over because it's going to stop these pawns from running down the board. Get my king over to this file here, and notice he can't give me a check because it's defended by my bishop. That move doesn't really do anything, so I just start gobbling up some pawns. Offer a rook trade. He gives me a check here, which just gives me an excuse to run over to this H file behind his own pawns. I'm using his own pawns as protection. And now we got mate on the board, mate in 15. He attacks my rook. I gobble up another pawn, and he slides his rook back over, and now mate in 3 on the board. We give a check, he blocks, slide my bishop over, king is forced to move, and then I check with a rook. Checkmate. Game over. So let's take a look over at our opening analysis and see how we did in the opening. At our analysis opening, the game went e4, e5, knight c3, and then my opponent went knight f6, f4, and then they played, what was it, d6. We went knight f3. They went bishop g4, and then played the correct move, d4 here. And then here my opponent went e takes d4. Let's take a look at what I have prepared for bishop takes. In this position, again, you just take with the pawn, and it's the same thought. Get that open g file with the rook. But in the game, my opponent went e takes d4, take back with the queen. Then we get this position here, and then this is what I had prepared. Opponent jumps in with a knight, you pin it, so that's right. Blocks with the queen, then you trade, and then develop the bishop. And that's what I had prepared in the game so far. And I believe my opponent went bishop to e7, and then we just long castled. You just play on the game from here. So nailed the opening. Pretty much 100% accurate for what I had prepared. Just got to do a better job of converting in the middle game. But thanks again for watching. If you want to play, just subscribe, drop a comment down below, and I'll post a game recap.